Okay, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Edupia Live. This is your host, Lincoln Hassan. And as promised, we have our unique individual and we have our guest for today, Min, here with us, joining all the way from UK. He's still in UK, but he is talking to us. So the thing is, like what I said in the intro and what I said in the promo for today's live, it is gonna be unique. It is gonna be outstanding, and it's gonna be something else because we don't get guests like Min on this platform very often. So Min here, like, let me give you a short intro of Min before I go ahead with the discussion. He used to be an international student. He went from Myanmar and he went to UK and he completed his higher studies over there and he got the chance to work for the embassy of the United States as well. So this guy has an illustrious career and he's a wonderful scholar as well. So definitely we have a lot of questions to ask and um, people watching this live session, I urge you that whatever questions that you have popping in your heads, definitely note them down in the comment section. We are going to try to answer your questions as soon as possible. And before I go ahead and with the discussion, there's one last thing that I want to do. I want to share this live stream with a couple of people. Just give me a second for that. So that more people can find this live stream, and I want to reach out to as many people as possible. So, Min, just hang on for a second.
Sure.
Let me share the stream on my timeline. That way, it'll be easier for people to understand.
Sure.
Okay, here we go. I hope the intro was okay, though. I was quite nervous
Sure. I
about
I,
the.
I have some comments, but I'll explain it.
Sure,
Yeah.
definitely. But
Yeah.
you'll need to clarify. You'll need to clarify what I said.
Yeah. Sure.
All
Yeah.
right,
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
right, all right. So yeah, here is Hajjaj Bhai here. Let me tag him. And all right. Yep, we're good to go. And let's start the discussion. Okay, all right. So Min, what are the comments that you wanted to make about that?
Basically, I've been working in international organizations and then local organizations, as well as in both international, locally, especially based in ASEAN, Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Singapore, over 14 years. And then it was before I went to the UK. I have worked with different international organizations, basically in political and conflict research, and also as well as in election business. And then I went to the
Okay,
UK to do my master's. Yeah, and then after my
okay.
studies, I'm now based in the UK, working as an independent consultant focused on democracy, elections, and human rights, based here. Yes.
Oh, okay. So that means you were pretty much awesome before you even went to UK.
I wouldn't say
So
also. It's just my interest. It's always been in working in politics. I mean, just want to be a like a, for example, an analyst. I mean, rather
yeah,
than myself being a politician, I want to be an analyst. Just to
understood.
comment, to criticize, and then to make just
So
support them in a way I can. Yes, rather than
so
being
you're
myself.
bringing so you're bringing the element of analysis into a realm that is called politics. So the thing is,
Yes.
let me share one thing with you before we go ahead. That is, whenever you say the word politics in our context, and whenever a student says the word politics, or even when a student wants to discuss about politics, that is actually looked down upon in this country because the general norm or the general belief that we have is that students are not supposed to delve too much into politics. So,
Yep.
like,
The same in my country. That's what's
politics,
going on right now. Yes, definitely the same in my country. Governments, the generals in general, the generals, the military, they don't want people to think too much about politics,
and
especially the students.
like it's yeah, sure, I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's a like over here. It's a totally different scenario. So I'm sure things are very different over there. All right.
Yeah.
So my first question, we have a procedure, or we have some questions that we want to get answered over here. I think that will help the progression of the conversation as well. So my first question to you would be, what were the prime reasons that actually compelled you to move to UK, or what was it that you were after that you went to UK? Like, was it higher studies, or was it sheer the knowledge perspective, or anything else? What was the prime motivation
Um,
behind it?
so I finished my bachelor degrees around 22, 23, and
Okay.
then I also did my previous studies also in Europe, also in Paris, in France. But and after that, I instead of going straight to do my master's or PhD like most of my friends, I thought, I would actually live the life and then work in the field to gain more experience. Then I would do my further studies. That was my plan. So I started working in international development sector, like I said, in different INGOs and local organizations, especially regarding promoting human rights and democracy. That's why I did. But as life went on, it took over like more than like 10, 11 years. I'm from Myanmar, and then it was 2015 when Myanmar had the proper election for the first time that we all can allowed to vote, and then the civilian government came in. So as a person working in the election field in the politics, I wanted to do more, to put more import in my work. And then at the time I realized, yes, I have experience over 12 years at the time, 10, 12 years, but I need, like, for example, like a proper, like a different knowledge. For example, I will understand, but I want to apply certain political theories into my research and my work. And then there is opportunity from the Chevening scholarship. So I applied, and I got it. And I came. That's why the reason I came to the UK when I got my master's, and yeah, and then right after that, I'm basically based out of London to do what I want to do what I love. Yes, my current work, research, yes, and
Okay.
analyst.
Okay, cool, fantastic. So, when you moved to the UK, what were your first impressions regarding UK? How was UK felt to you? How actually did UK felt to you at that point of time?
To be honest, I am much more in more like a how can I say, a bit of a, like, I don't know what to say. It's like for example, like I love Europe in general. Fell in love with Europe because that's why I spent most of my teen young years. So UK has always been a little bit different to me, especially the weather and the people. So I mean, it was okay, but my intention was to go there and to get my masters, and then to like sort out my life. So um it was not as much as that to me. Like, how can I say, I felt much home, like for example, like in Paris or in Berlin or in Amsterdam. But after a year or two, I think I'm quite settling with the UK now. So I think it's, yeah, it is, I mean, same as everywhere else, because I move around a lot in my life. Yes.
Yeah, it definitely takes a couple of years getting used to. So, the thing is, mostly most of the students of our country who are looking to get their higher studies done in the United States or even in the UK, they're mostly concerned about the educational system, because the thing is, our schools and colleges, they follow a very different curriculum. Okay, so the thing is, whenever they're going for studying over there, uh, usually what they worry about is how they will adapt to their curriculum, or how they will adapt to that kind of system. So do you think, do you see any difference there between students who are going to the UK from Myanmar, or you have probably seen Bangladeshi students as well? So what are the suggestions that you want to give to an international students who have gone to UK to study? Like, what are the things that they need to look out for?
I think the most important thing is just to be. I'm not saying anyone coming from Asia or Africa or anywhere around the world, not open minded. But the main point is basically to accept the challenges and open minded, not basically just uh, leave all the ideas or all the thoughts that you've been put into to your to your knowledge by the institution, by the authorities, by the peers, by the seniors, even for a political discussion or even for a different discussion. Just like explore as much as you can, and then you can always discuss research. You can agree to disagree, and that's how I think. And also do a lot more your own research. I don't know much about Bangladesh, but where I came from in Myanmar and also in Thailand in general, the system and the school system puts you all these ideas and thoughts, and then also, how can I say, in a way it is even more like like brainwash. So when you actually went to do your further studies overseas, and when if you don't adapt well, there'll be, like, for example, like challenges, try to fight off the thoughts and the same old ideas that you have in your head. Let's say, for example, even for bachelor studies, the first 10 years of your life, when you're 17 or 18, you already have these ideas since you were like 6 or 7 from the senior. So when you're 17, 18, it may have a bit of a problem. So just start, just a fresh start. How old you are, 17, 18, 25, 26, 30, 34, 35, doesn't really matter. Just yeah. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because yeah, the thing that you mentioned about the age, like it doesn't matter, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter actually. There's a common belief in our country is that if you are looking to go to another country, whether you're trying to migrate or whether you're trying to get your higher studies done, it's better to leave as early as possible. The younger you are, the better it is, or it's
Yes.
actually faster for you to adapt to that system.
Yes.
So we have
Yes.
that kind of a common belief system over
Exactly.
here as well.
It's
Yeah,
hard for
yeah.
what is it called, like to teach old dog to teach new tricks. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
thing is, one thing I want to share with you as well is, like when I was in Australia, people used to like mistake me for being a Malaysian. They thought that I was from Malaysia, even though I was from Bangladesh. So, or even some people would take me as a Filipino, because there were lots of people from the Philippines working in Australia, and within the telecom industry as well. I had lots of colleagues from the Philippines. So the thing is, they speak really good English. They are really fast in adapting to the system. That's what I observed, so to speak. So, the thing that I wanted to find out is, do the people from the Philippines have any certain advantage in terms of adapting a newer system of communication than people from, for example, say from India or Pakistan or even from Bangladesh? Like, how do they catch up so fast, where it takes a long period of time for us to get to that level? And even I've seen a lot of people, a lot of students who have stayed in the UK or in the United States for like 8, 10, or even 12 years. Even after that, their communication isn't that sharp. So, like, is there any significant difference, or is it something different that they do that gives them the advantage over us?
Um, I don't know much to say because I think a Filipino person can answer better the questions. But my assumption will be it's that like I think it's more like the English has been part of their language in daily life since they were young. That's probably how I would say, compared to other ASEAN countries. But I think Indians and also like all senior like Burmese people can also speak English because of the colonial past. But I think modern days it depends on the context, that not so many people can communicate or pick up the language anymore. It depends.
Cool, cool, fantastic. So yeah, definitely. The education system and speaking English from an early age, that actually definitely helps. So my next question to you would be, we got to know that you got a chance, or you have worked with the embassy of the United States. So how was it like working for that embassy? Like, what are the things that you have dealt with over there? What are the things that you were involved with, and how was their wholesome experience over there?
I worked for the State Department when I was in Myanmar before I went to the UK. So I was living in Thailand, and then looking for opportunity. I mean, I'm working as also as a consultant, and then State Department, it's U.S. Embassy in Yangon is looking for political analyst, and then also slash interpreter working on a human rights dialogue. So I applied, and then I joined, and I spent 14 months, a year and 2 months with them. During my time, it in a way that it's to me that in a way that I would probably worked something for the country at the time, because like as a local person, Myanmar person working for the U.S. Embassy in Myanmar, I like for example, like doing research on the political trend and transformation, and also research. So work together with the political officers from the embassy, from State Department. So provided them all the inside information and so on and such. It was okay and great, but as usual in my time in general, I don't really like, how can I say, being like bonded into a certain big organization in general. That's why I like to work as freelance independent, so that when people hire me for a certain organization, I can work for them, providing my own analytical research. Then do something. For example, with the big diplomatic missions organization like that, whatever you do, it'll be a part of their effort to reach out the message. For example, like doing research and everything, also sharing information, but it will probably credit it as in like for example, like the high officials, not coming from your own point of view. So that is why I spent 14 months, and then after that I left, and then I joined another US based organization called the Carter Center, who is focused on elections, promoting election democracy and human rights around the world. And that's where I can work more freely. It's like after the country director, it's just like second, like a person, engaged in more in helping different local organizations and political fields in Myanmar for the 3 years before I went to the UK. Yes.
Okay, cool, fantastic, awesome. So the thing is, and one thing I would like to add over here is like the process of election or the election campaigns or anything. It is never considered as a subject or a theoretical subject or even as a job in this country. Over here, the total scenario of election, that is totally different. You will be surprised to hear some
Yeah.
stories about it. We're not gonna go too deep into
Yes.
that. We have other things to discuss about. So the thing is, so when you decided to go to UK, you did have to take the IELTS test, right?
Yes. Yes. Of course.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. So, how was your IELTS prep like? Like, how did you prepare for the test? Was there any preparation at all, or if there was any, how did you prepare for this thing?
Um, I don't know what to say. It's interesting because so part of the like the application process is to IELTS. So I was like, okay, really, at this age, I was already over past 30. Like this age, and I was like, to me, IELTS, TOEFL, when I came up, it reminds me of like my old days, like 20 years ago when you're after high school. When you were just trying to do all the tests so that you can basically leave your country and then do studies in overseas. So yes, I mean, for example, I prepared, but how can I say? But I didn't take any like preparation class or anything. I prepared because I look into, for example, like when, especially also at this time, years of experience, you also kind of know that what are the breaks like what's the key points that they give you, like marks, for example, like you have like this multiple choice question, and what other question will be like, and what are they based on, and for example, in a writing, in a writing questions, there are like several types. Sometimes you have to basically explain the situation from scratch in a scenario. How will you do? And even when you express a scenario, sometimes there are scenarios you have to explain. I'm talking about the writing part, yeah, the IELTS writing part. Even for that writing, the main part of the thing where you get the highest marks. Sometimes you have to explain scenario, like for example, the event scenario about in like the road construction of your local city, how the road system has been changed, or how the thing has been changed. Also, there are certain things where you have to describe about a chemical process. Chemical mean not very very chemical detail. Like how do you to make sure a rope, or something to form to for example at the production of a purse or the process. So I study this kind of question just so that I know if it comes up, how to prepare and write. So in that case, I prepare because in general, I'm sure I will manage to write, the writing, the process, but I would prefer the scenario like the road construction, for example, or the process of the place. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you.
It would just pause a bit. So do you hear what I'm saying? I stopped on the way
Um,
because it was cut off.
Hello.
Can you hear me
Oh,
again?
yeah, yeah. Don't mind that. I'm still here.
Okay, okay. So I would say for writing, the students should prepare, for example, the old exam papers regarding, especially the writing part. What is your skills? For example, I have friends, like they prefer to write in that topic. For example, how to a production of a purse, for example, or how to make, that for the I would say the technical, I would say the technical means not technical, it's more like the light bulb question, or the production question. For me, I am not interested in that, and then I think it'll be a bit harder for me to express, writing. I prefer more the generic landscape or the construction of a road, or the city change process. That is regarding the writing. Apart from that, reading, listening, speak, it is as long as you are I mean, practice means not only you practice by doing the practice or taking lessons. You can practice by listening, like movies, film, especially British, just to get the different tone and like and access as well, and accent, because uh, um, in there for example in America, the standard American language, it's called GA, General American. So in the US, about 35% of Americans speaks GA, which the general American English that we can hear in the news, or in politicians speak. So about 35% of them, 35% of Americans, speak GA. So that 35% of the whole population, and then you can get a different intonation, different accent, different dialect from the south or from the north. That is the US. But in the UK, the standard English that we hear, or the Queen's English or the politician, it is called RP, received
Yeah.
pronunciation. But in the UK, RP, in general population of English speaker in the UK, RP it's 5%, 5 to 10%. So it is very low. And all these figures and research are from 2013, 2014 research. So it may change high
Okay.
up a little bit in our 2021. But what I'm trying to say is that in UK, British English in general, RP, received pronunciation, is very rare. So whatever we hear in the news or the standard one, it's RP. It is a bit rare.
Okay.
Uh, the point is, so when you're preparing for IELTS, for English, for listening and listen, so it is better that you listen from all sort of thing, not only a standard material. Let's say, for example, you can watch BBC or other different UK television shows, which you can hear not only RP from the local Welsh accent, or the South London accent, or Essex accents, or the Midland accent, any kind of things. You don't have to know the accent straight away because you're still preparing, but it is better than hearing it to make it familiar than the general politician or whoever speaks on television or televised information. That I would like to add. Yes. Apart from that, nothing much
Yeah.
for me.
Fantastic, fantastic. I think, and the thing is, the thing that you mentioned about accents and preparing yourself for variety of accents, that is actually very much value. That's a very valuable tip, so to speak, for the students, because oftentimes students come to us and they say, "Okay, I went through this listening track for the IELTS listening test. I couldn't get the whole sense of it because it was spoken in a different accent. Maybe it was a Scottish accent, maybe it was an Irish accent or something like that. So they take a longer period of time, or they take a longer period of time to get used to it, or even process it internally.
Yes.
So definitely it becomes a little bit difficult, because we are used to hearing the UK accent that we hear or see, or the news on the news, and we are used to the American accent. So like, what, for example, what I try to emulate is the American accent, because that's easier for me to adapt. Because if I'm gonna try a different accent, it's gonna slow me down. I'm
Yes.
gonna be
Sure.
I'm
Sure.
speaking
Yeah.
even slower than this.
Yes.
So like American accent, and it's also easily understood by everyone and most of the population throughout the whole world. So that's, I think, the easier one to take, or the New Yorker accent, you might say, you might call
Yes.
it. So definitely. So the thing is, there's a saying that in our country that says, once the event is past, once you have done something, or once you have went through something, you become wiser, because you have unlocked the newer dimensions of it. So you have become wiser about the IELTS test, since you have taken, even though if it's a while ago. So if a student, for example, if a student from Bangladesh is going to take his or her IELTS test in the next month, what are the exclusive tips? What are the top three things that you are gonna tell him or her to follow?
It's hard to say though. I would say be yourself.
don't be
but, but
don't be
no, but
afraid.
no, but but like I said, just make sure, if you are, for example, if you, what is your highest skill, for example, for skill speaking, listening, or writing or reading, and then focus on your for example, like, and of course, make sure you focus on the top one. Let's say if you are the highest one is speaking, make sure that you get the highest score as possible in speaking, which will also help you to lift you the whole general band. Or if you've also, or of course, it has to be, some university has to be a balance. For example, like a basic will be like 6.5 or 7 in writing to accept it into a college. So it's very important. Of course, writing is important, but there are other things that you can also carry your marks, your band score. For example, like listening, like reading and speaking. These are the things you don't have to. I mean, of course, you have to you have to practice. Or I mean, if you're just for example, like experience enough, then you can also carry along. So focus on what are your the highest and like a scoring option. So just focus on that. And also writing is also very very important, because that's when they will access your ability to study in the UK or not. Because for example, there are people
Okay.
who get high scores in listening and reading, but the writing is like 5.5 or 6. So they didn't get accepted into a certain university, because who needs 6.5 or 7, like band scores is very important. And also in writing, like I said before, the not the comprehension, the last part, you basically just study and think of, like, if for example I like I said, I prefer to do about this urban city, or the process or the history, writing. But I also prepare mentally myself. If I come up with a production of a socks or a lamp or something, how do I do? Of course, it will give me a little bit more headache compared to the city plan, something like that. So make sure, like, also just what is your what is your how can I say, what you want to do or prefer to do, what is your favorite thing to do, kind of writing, and also just also prepare a bit mentally, also, just like, yeah, what to do. Yeah, so I was lucky that just one time it got into this city project. I'm like, okay, done. I was okay, straight up. I know myself straight away. Yes. If it's a different one, then I think I can still get good score, but depends on, yeah, the thing. Yeah, so that's what I would like to say. Yes, the tips.
Fantastic.
And then it is good to know, like I said before, received pronunciation, RP, and then GA, general American. But it doesn't really matter if you don't know anything as well. Of course, it's good to know, but it's not like I say. I also don't want to say it so that you'll be like, just like worry and scared. Oh, I don't know RP, I don't know GA. It doesn't really matter. If it's no, it is good. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter, because I knew it, because I also been working in linguistic field as well in the past. I mean,
Okay.
still sometimes I do as a freelance interpreting in Myanmar, English, and French, three language pairs. So as a linguistic
Okay.
part of the process, that is why I know. So I'm not saying that you have to know as a student. It doesn't really matter. It's just that people have different accent, different dialect, and just knowledge sharing.
Makes sense. Thank you very much for sharing those. So the big question: Chevening scholarship. So what is it? what does it take to get a scholarship like that, or what? How is the process like? Like, can you give us a short rundown of the whole thing?
I mean, Chevening, to be honest, a Chevening scholarship, it is a scholarship that like a UK government gave back to Commonwealth and then their former colonies, what they have done. Just okay, we try to give you back, share some of this, that we did back to your countries or your ancestors. So you have a free scholarship. So, but anyway, it is worth applying, especially if you are coming from countries like a country, Bangladesh, Myanmar or Thailand, because even there are Chevening scholarship I've seen from India, like rich students, they apply
Okay.
scholarship. I mean, they are in the category, they got it. I see
What can
Chevening,
I say?
I see
It's a highly
Chevening
coveted thing.
I see Chevening students from South Korea, from Japan.
Okay.
They were like,
Yeah,
I was like, okay, well, but yeah, as long as you're eligible, you're smart, you got it. So
yeah, yeah.
so Chevening, they used to give both masters and PhD, but in 2003 they
Okay.
stopped PhD scholarship because
Okay.
after 3 years PhD, most students got the job in the UK and then they didn't go back, so they dropped it. They want prefer to go back and then go back, or you work regarding in your country of interest origin, invest in 2 years of the course. That's what they prefer. So the application process actually opened yesterday. Today, I think it's open 2nd August each year, and
Okay.
then the deadline is it's on I think first week of November, 6 or 7.
So yeah,
So
hurry up, boys and
so
girls, whoever's looking to get it.
so so the process. So for the process, you have to write 4 statements, 4 essay, max
Okay.
around 500 words, and one is about your leadership skills, and the other one is about your networking skills. The other one is about your studies plan. What will you study? And
Okay.
the last one is about your future plans. What will you do when you come back, when you finish your studies? So
Okay.
leadership is basically about your leadership skills since you were young. That how you active to be, because they like to promote the idea of you are a youth leader. Even though you are close to 40, doesn't matter. You're a youth leader, or you are you're promoting, encouraging. So like, how do you encourage? How do you use achieving experience? How can I say to help you? How can I say, open your leadership instinct skills, that you will do. That is one thing that you have to make sure that not more than 500 words. Make sure that on point. This is this. I want this. And then the second one is networking essays. You have to be a networking person and like a social person. I always question that part. I'm like, how about someone who is intelligent and really, really smart, but can be like a non-people person, maybe introvert. How the person would network. So I still think it's not really, really fair when all the most scholarship ask about this networking part. It's okay. It's their policy. It's their scholarship. It's their money. It's their rule. So the networking essay statement is more about how will you use the Chevening network, that you've met in your studies, and how you will bring them back to your society, or what your future thing, like how can you build network, the same thing that how Chevening helps you, how this scholarship will open up opportunities in life, because of network process, because there are like famous people like the former Chile president or other like young leaders. They are from Chevening scholarship. Some people met, like, so yeah, and also my good friends. I've met Hazaz from Bangladesh. My
Yeah. Yeah.
brother, my Bangladesh brother, went to study in London. I was in Chevening scholarship at my university. So yeah, so different. So I will say that connection. So if I come to Bangladesh, he will. He said he will take care of me. So yeah, let's see, Hazaz. So these are the process. That's the networking question statement, and another one is about your studies. So the most important thing about Chevening is you have to apply either you apply 3 different subjects at one university, or same subject at 3 different universities.
Okay.
You
Okay.
have to apply when you and then you have to make sure your first choice, second choice, third choice, and you have to,
Okay.
mention it in that the university statement, the essay, 500 words. My first choice is, for example, University of Glasgow. I will study chemical engineering. My second one would be a London School of Hygiene Topics. I'm studying this. You have to make sure, why are the first, second choice, third choice, something like that. Or if you choose to apply one university, a different subject, that's fine. I choose University of London. I will study this. This is, it depends on you. So to make sure that. And regarding that, okay, let me finish about the 4 essays, and then I will get back to the university. The last one is about your future plans, and that is also very important. That you have to clearly mention, basically, uh, don't overpromise, don't overwrite, don't faff about it. Just say what the practical thing that you want to do. For example, what you mentioned on the essay statement, they will ask the question. You have to remember as well. You have to know what you wrote, because people have problems. Some people hire, some people wrote, and then they want to interview, and then they have a serious problem. The problem is that it has to be to be a very like, for example, like, be practical, not so vague. So during my time, I've set it in my career plan, future plans. Like I told you before, I want to be a part of because I was able to study. I left. I applied for a 2018 training scholarship. So 2018, Myanmar was 2 years away at the time from 2020, the previous general election. So my goal was to work in 2020 general elections because I came from election background. So I've mentioned clearly the skill set and everything, and I stated clearly that I will involved in election promise regardless of where I am. Either I am in Myanmar, either I'm abroad. I will focus on that. Practical means that look for jobs within INGO, looking for think tanks, looking for research organizations. That is practical. So that kind of thing have to be matched. And then I did the same. But certain people mention, like for example, I'm not saying non-practical ways, that I will come back after my studies and I'm going to form INGO. I'm going to form a CSO, civil society organization, and then so the question will come back in the interview is that how do you think about the funding process and how do you apply for fund, because definitely you don't have fund, and then they can answer anymore. This kind of question, this kind of thing, you have to make sure be practical, because no one can come back straight away and then form, unless you're a rich businessman or rich kid, form an INGO organization to help them. These are not very practical. So I'm just saying as an example. Make sure whatever you say, it's practical. Yeah. But at the end of it, it's basically they want to hear that you will probably do something for your country, which we all want to do in a way that we can for the change of the better future of our country. So that is the point. That's about 4 essays. Yes. And
Definitely.
I will also want to add about universities, because unlike like Australian awards scholarship or Fulbright US scholarship, Chevening is a bit strange. Strange means also, I mean, I would say it's not good in that sense. So, for example, Australian award scholarship. Once you're confirmed that you got Australian awards, they will help you to get into the university. Let's say university doesn't accept you, reject you. They will talk to the university. Of course, you have to have a certain score of IELTS or TOEFL. They will help you to help the university to accept you. Like I said, you need to be a certain score. That is fine. And then if you need to do a retest, the awards board will pay for your retest. Like IELTS, TOEFL, they'll pay for you. You have to retake. They'll help you. University also in Fulbright as well. They will just talk to university to accept you. Once you got confirmation of scholarship, Australia Awards or Fulbright, you're confirmed, you're in, unless you left or you defer. Chevening, it's not like that. Chevening will confirm you that you are being conditionally selected after interview process, did everything. Then that is a time that you need to get at least one confirmation from one of the three universities that they accept you. So there are cases that a person got confirmed for Chevening scholarship, but university didn't, you can't get any confirmation from any of the three university, then sorry, that you're not selected for Chevening scholarship. And also another thing is that IELTS, you have to pay for yourself. They will pay certain fees back, but not like things. So that is a very important thing about Chevening process. So the time frame open in August, deadline is in November. You submitted the 3 essays, and then you need to have at least 2 years of work experience. It can be in private sector, it can be in INGO, it can be a government. 2 years of work experience, and then 2 work experience, and then essays, and then all the requirements in the, you can see in the link, like references and everything submitted. It was in November, and you will hear it back from the secretariat whether you're shortlisted for the interview stage around 2nd or 3rd week of February, and you have to schedule your interview at the British Embassy High Commission in your country. Let's say like from March until April, yeah, and June 1st week you hear back from Chevening that whether you are conditionally shortlisted almost to the final stage. And that's when you have to provide your IELTS result to Chevening, body secretariat by the first week of July. You need to show one confirmation unconditional, because there are conditional offer, unconditional offer. There are two things. Conditional offer, it's this, the not the final one. Unconditional offer is the final one. You need to show then you have unconditional offer from your university, of three university, one of your choice, or three of them accepted you. That's the best, of course. So then Chevening will finally give you their unconditional offer to you, which means that you will fulfill, you got the scholarship. The scholarship provides you, they'll pay for you your master study fees the whole year, and plus a monthly stipend, which basically covers you just enough to live in London. You can also do part-time work, or you can just focus on study as well. That's the whole Chevening process. Yes, that's
Okay.
what I will say. And once you apply, once you submit it in November, I think it is, if you're really, really keen, and you should also prepare study, like a university, and then start your application process, like start applying in January or February or March, so that some university takes time. Takes time means, like, for example, they'll reject you because, okay, sorry, you don't have enough qualification, because sometimes you need your experience, your CV, your work references letter. You don't have enough experience, they will reject you. So you need to reapply again. Some of them, they get you straight away. Some of them you have to pay, fees, like Oxford, Cambridge. Its application is not free. You have to pay certain fees to the submission. And these big universities also take like preparation 10 months. For example, they will ask you to write a research proposal or another topic. But most universities in general, they don't do that. It depends on your experience. So once you submit it, I will say start applying January, February, March. Because in my case, I was a bit nervous because I didn't apply it in January and February. I started applying it in March, which luckily three of the universities that I picked I was selected, so it was okay. Imagine, because I have also friends from different years, different cohort. They were struggling until May and June, because in the interview they said already about everything, and then they got confirmation for Chevening in June. They have none of the universities confirmed. So they had to basically, just apply again, finally accept it, and then finally got it. So these are the stress that you don't need, that you don't want to worry at the last minute. So just apply. These are my thoughts for Chevening. Yes.
Cool. Thank you so much. That's a lot of information to process, so to speak. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, like, my one last question regarding Chevening would be: would you say it's sort of a personal question? Like, if you don't want, you can ignore that question. Is like, would you say that Chevening changed your life to an extent, or would you say you would be doing just fine even if you didn't get it?
I mean, getting a master's, it helps. Also in your career, also in your confidence and everything. And also kind of like, for example, I've always wanted to do my master's, like a bit in my life, but never happened. And then because of that, it happened. Which is, even though I was just taking the opportunity back from what my ancestors didn't fulfill in their life, from the post-colonial government, but it's still it is good in a way, and it more like it kind of encouraged me, like also made me miss how much I miss studying and doing research, and also. Also, it's also another question, right? Because we are South Asians, right? We are not white people. So it is very, very important for us to have an extra extension degrees in our application. Even though 10, 12-year experience, when you apply for a job, even though with master's or PhD, they will still pick me, they will still pick the white person, even the same equivalent. But it's not like overchanging thing, but still it helps a lot in your job market as well, right? Because nowadays, back days when I grew up, like let's say early 2000, bachelor degree is kind of enough in development world. Master is the next level. Nowadays, even in my country, Burma, Myanmar, your neighbor country next door, almost everyone has master's degree. In the future there will be a PhD level. So, but of course, even masters, it matters. Means like, you have a master's from overseas, like for example, from Thailand or from Singapore or from Indonesia, ASEAN countries, or from like institutions like UK, US, Australia. That's a different thing. To me, knowledge is it's the same. I've studied also in France. I've also, like I did my research also in Thailand. But the recognition of the job market, and also especially with the global north and south, we global south have always been, yeah, even though we have skill set, there always be a certain thing. White people is always on top. So I think, to answer your question, it helped. It helped. Yeah, it's not like, not like nothing changed. Of course, it changed, and also it also opened more career for you. So yeah, that's I would say. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that candid answer, so to speak. So yeah, definitely it does help out a lot getting a scholarship like that. And yeah, it's not easy getting those. Like it's really hard to come by. And like Hajjaj, you mentioned Hajjaj Ahmed. So he's also like one of the very few people that I know who actually got a scholarship to study in the UK. And like I said, for the students from Myanmar or even Bangladesh, for students like these from these countries, like getting a scholarship is a highly coveted thing. You
Yes.
can't even imagine like what they would do for a scholarship like that. So like even after that, like people still, even if they are not getting scholarships, they do get out. They do go out of the country. They are going to Canada a lot these days. They're going to Australia. They're going to the UK, definitely, to
Yes.
get higher study, because our what they believe is a degree or a certificate from a different country, or from the first world country, so to speak, that
Yeah.
adds a lot of value on the resumes. Like getting the job
Yes.
market is really competitive out here, so
Yes.
it definitely
Yes.
helps out a lot.
It is. It is. Especially,
Yeah,
like UK, US, Australia, these English speaking countries, Canada, and then you're in a Southeast Asia job market. It helps a lot. Yeah.
definitely. So
Yeah.
the final question that I have for you is, like, where do you see yourself going forward within the next 5 years? Like, what are you working with right now, and where do you like what do you want to achieve within the next 5 or 6 years or so?
I think I'll probably still doing the same thing what I'm doing, but my mind is, most of my work is focused on right now in my country in Myanmar, because since February the military staged a coup d'état, and then now it's a COVID third wave, so many people died, many people are
Yeah,
being in jail.
it's a
So
mess
so
right there.
so I'm working, just working with the different international stakeholders, just on doing my research on human rights and democracy. Yeah, so I think probably in that field, and also a bit of, like, for example, I do, like I said, human rights, democracy, elections in general. So right now, I mean, elections for it's I don't see any election coming soon in my country, even though the military is promised, like a few days ago. I don't think so. So basically, I'll probably just keep doing what I'm doing, from afar, yeah, in a way that I can for the cause. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Very, very like it's a very noble thought, and definitely the people could use a lot of help right there. And the current situation in Myanmar, like it's a hot mess. So yeah, I don't I
It is
don't
a
want to
hot
talk too
mess.
much about
I know
it.
it is hard. It's depressing. Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
depressing.
not trying to sugarcoat it at
I know
all.
it's depressing. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, Min, it was really wonderful talking to you. And the thing is, that you took out the time to talk to us out of your busy schedule. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I thank you on behalf of the Edupia team. This live stream would be available right when I end the stream, and definitely you could find it on the Edupia Facebook page as well. I'm going to share the link with you. So today
Thank you.
we are keeping the discussion up till now, and my yeah, probably we're gonna have Min as a guest on the Edupia live session in the future session or in the upcoming
Sure.
sessions, because
Sure.
we want to have this trend going on regarding our guests coming back again and again, because there are lots of
Sure.
things that Min can share with us, and lots of valuable information for the students of Bangladesh as well. The students who, especially the
Yes.
students who want to go abroad for higher studies or looking to get some scholarships and stuff like that. So
Yes.
definitely he can be a great guide and a great mentor.
Sure.
So thank you, Min, once again
Sure.
for sharing
Sure.
all the valuable information with us.
Um.
And we hope to see you in our future sessions again.
Sure.
So yeah, any concluding words that you want to share
One,
with the students?
one for the students. When you pick
Yeah.
universities, make sure you pick the right university. I mean, I'm what I mean right university means, of course, we can know exactly straight away, but certain universities are they're known for like a certain subject, and then you pick the wrong subject at university. It's not really much sense. Like people think about, especially in my country, Cambridge, Oxford, and like certain things. But yeah, there are good subjects. For example, if you want to study let's say like media studies at Oxford, it's not as useful as doing media studies at other research university or City University of London, for example. So make sure to do research quite a bit more before you pick university, that which university, which subject it's better. So sometimes it can be a certain university that not people will know about or certain things, but the subject is really good, and that is really important. That is my final suggestion. I won't say advice, because I have nowhere to advise you. It's just that suggestion, sharing thoughts with my sisters and brothers, I will say. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Min. Thank you so much. And this has been Lincoln Hassan and Min, Edupia Live, and we're gonna catch you in another session. Till then, peace. Thank you.
Peace. All right.